Dieses Meeting wird aufgezeichnet.
Yeah, so welcome everyone to this webinar on CPMS 2.0. Thank you all for joining. My name is Gela Ginsky and I will be hosting this webinar together with Emily. We are both working on the operational help desk of Endo-ERN. This meeting will be recorded and made available for those who could not join today. And today we want to talk about CPMS, which is the virtual consultation platform used by the ERNs. And the system has been updated to improve functionality and user experience, and Endo-ERN has officially migrated to this new system called CPMS 2.0 in February 2025. Let me see if I can switch slides, yeah. So in this webinar, we want to talk about the new processes and workflows in CPMS 2.0 in Endo-ERN, and we will go over the key features of the new system and what has changed with regard to the old system. And we will talk about the new user roles as they are slightly different from the old system. Then we will also talk about what needs to be considered before using the new system. And next we will go through some fictional user journeys of 3 different types of users. And finally, we will have some time for questions and answers. So what are the new features of the system? So first of all, the sign-up process has been simplified. So users can now create or access their accounts in CPMS directly through EU login. So before there was an additional step which is not needed anymore. This makes this whole onboarding process a lot easier and quicker for clinicians to start using the system. Next, meeting and patient records are now 2 separate functions in the new system, allowing for more flexibility. So meetings do not need to be connected to a specific patient anymore, but you can also hold sessions on broader care discussions as well. And this is easier to schedule in the new system. And also the video conferencing tool has been upgraded to have smoother virtual meetings. Experts can now invite members from other ERNs to contribute to meetings or discussions. Which makes working across ERNs much easier, of course. And a chat function has been added, which users can use for quick and informal communication outside of the patient context. Notification settings can now be modified by the users themselves, so users can decide how many notifications they want to receive either in-app or via email. And files can now be uploaded and viewed directly in the system, so there's no need for external tools anymore, which also makes the process of uploading files quicker. In Endo-ERN, we have a custom data set, which means that there are less fields and more optional categories to simplify the workflow. And finally, there will be an app version as well for your mobile phone soon, so you can join meetings and access the system also on the go. So all in all, the new system is designed to work a bit more intuitively and more efficiently to make this an easier tool for clinicians to use. For those of you who are familiar with the old system, it's worth noting that some terms in the new system have slightly changed. So when you enroll a patient in the system, you will create a patient record. And a patient record includes all patient data, files, and also discussions. So in the old system, we were talking about patient panels a lot, and this is now called a discussion and is part of the patient record. Then there are also sub-thematic areas now, so users can specify their expertise more precisely now. So you probably all know the main thematic areas we have in Endo-ERN, and per MTG there are different sub-thematic areas now you can select from. It looks a bit different now how you get to the outcome document. This can be found in the history of the patient record now and download from there. And we will also later see some screenshots from the system where you can see how this looks like. A final note, I mentioned that the chat function has been introduced. This looks similar to the discussion. However, the difference is that the chat is meant for informal conversation, while the discussion would contain information on a specific patient. So it's important to not post any patient-related information in the chat, but in the discussion. So these are the main roles in the new system. These are slightly different from the old system. So first of all, we have the ERN clinicians. This is the account type most of you probably have. This is a full account, so you can create a patient record and contribute to discussions. Then there are guest accounts. These are for clinicians who are not part of an ERN but want to use CPMS 2.0. And there are basically two different roles for guests. So the first one is a non-ERN clinician. They can discuss their own patient in the system, so they can create patient records themselves. And the limited non-ERN clinician, and they can consult on cases and also join meetings, but they cannot upload cases themselves, so they don't have the ability to enroll a known patient. Then there is the assistant. This is a new role in the system. Clinicians can appoint users as their assistants, and assistants can then perform any action on behalf of the clinician. So they cannot perform any patient-related actions on their own, but only on behalf of their clinician they're assisting. So in order to use CPMS 2.0, there are a few things to consider first. So what you need to do basically depends on how you want to use the system. So if you do not want to enter patient data yourself, you can basically start using the system as soon as you have an active account. You just need to indicate your expertise so you can be found by other experts in the system, and you will be invited to the relevant regular MPG meetings. However, if you want to enroll your own patient, you have to first of all confirm with your local data protection officer that your hospital is allowed to use CPMS 2.0. So it's up to every hospital to decide if a new DPIA needs to be performed for the new system, or if an existing DPIA can be updated, or if none is needed. This also includes how patient consent is gathered, so you need to make sure that you're familiar with the local process of gathering consent. And once this is clear, you of course also need to indicate your expertise in the system, and then you can start using the system and enroll patients as well. Here I just wanted to show you how you indicate your expertise in the system. So after you log into the system, you go to My Account in the top right corner, and then to Edit Information. And then you need to enter, first of all, your profession, then your clinical focus, so if you care for adult or pediatric patients, your thematic area, so you can select your MTG from the drop-down list, and if you want your subthematic area as well. However, this is still optional. And if you want, you can also write in your own words what your clinical or research focus is, and for which you feel competent to give advice on. So this is important because this helps others to identify the right experts to invite to their patient discussions, and this will also make sure that we invite you to the relevant recurring MPG meetings. So next I would like to go through some fictional user journeys. So our first case is Dr. Anna. She's a pediatric endocrinologist working at a German hospital, which is a member of the Endo-ERN. Anna is caring for pediatric patients in a hospital, and she's suspecting a rare endocrine disease in one of the patients. She's familiar with the system and would like to seek advice from other experts. So Anna's patient is a newborn child that was born with atypical genitalia. The suspected diagnosis is virilizing CAH, so congenital adrenal hyperplasia, with no salt wasting. However, they are still awaiting confirmation from genetic testing. The parents of the baby are very worried about the physical appearance of the child and expressed a strong wish for surgery. They are even considering traveling to another country if necessary. However, the local team would like to postpone surgery to a later time, since this would be cosmetic surgery. And I would like to discuss with other experts if they had similar experience with CAH patients, what others think about the timing of surgery, and how they would approach the conversation with the parents. So since Anna has presented a case in CPMS before, and she has an active account in CPMS, she has gathered consent from the patient's parents to discuss this case on CPMS, and knows that her hospital has permission to use CPMS 2.0. So to enroll her patient, she logs into CPMS 2.0 and goes to Add New Patient. This appears after clicking on Add New Patient, so she enters the mandatory information for enrolling this case, which is consent for care given, and the date, of course, which is, of course, mandatory. Then the first and last name. The name will be automatically anonymized by the system, so others cannot see the real name, and date of birth, sex, and nationality. After adding the identifying information on the patient, she reaches this page. So she now has to enter the system information. Here the system will automatically generate a nickname for the patient. However, to make it easier for others to see what this case is about, we advise to use an informative nickname here. For example, suspected diagnosis or maybe dominant symptom or whatever you deem relevant for this case. Next, she enters the ERN and thematic area this case would be discussed in. In this case, this would be MTG7. Finally, the summary of the data she entered is shown. And with clicking on Add Patient, the patient record is saved. So now that she enrolled her case, Anna would like to invite experts to her patient record to start a discussion. So Anna knows 2 experts she would like to invite, as well as 1 MTG7 chair who she knows were working on a position statement regarding genital surgery. So these are the people she would like to invite to her case. So she goes to Add Participant in the patient record. And then she can look for users to invite to her case. She can filter her search by ERN. So in this case, it would be Endo-ERN. In some cases, it might be useful to invite users from other ERNs. So this is also possible now in the new system. Since she knows 2 clinicians she wants to invite, she can just search by their names. She could also search via thematic area. So if she selects MTG7 over here, all users will appear that indicated in their profile that they are experts for MTG7. So this is why it is important that you indicate your expertise in your account settings so that other users can find you in the system. Then you could also go via center or the profession and search by clinical focus as well. So Anna decides to invite Emily, Alberto, and Olaf. And so she clicks on the names or checks the box and then just clicks on Add Participants. So now she wants to tell the invited participants what her questions on the case are. In the patient record, she goes to Open Discussion. And now she will be prompted to enter the discussion topic. So Anna just types in her questions to the other experts. She can also give an urgency to the case if needed. So if she would like to discuss this before they're meeting with the parents for the next time, for example, she could also enter a date here by which or by when she needs answers. So this is how her patient record looks like now. She has opened the discussion and all invited participants can now use this chat box to start a discussion. However, Anna would like to have a video call to discuss this patient, and she would like to use the regular MTG7 meeting for this. So, since the regular meetings are organized by the help desk, she needs to contact the help desk to take a slot for her case. And I can use the contact form on our website or just send us an email directly. And for the recurring meetings, we always send out Outlook calendar invites as well as the invite in the meeting for each MTG meeting. So Anna checks that she's invited to the next MTG7 meeting and that she has it in her agenda. And then she decides how she wants to present the case. So there are no requirements for this. It's up to her if she wants to prepare a PowerPoint or share any other kind of document. It's just important that this does not contain any identifying data of the patient. Here are some general notes for the recurring meetings in CPMS. So there will be a maximum 3 cases per meeting. So each meeting is planned for 1 hour, so we have 20 minutes per case. It is advised to accept the meeting invitation to be able to access the patient details before the meeting. So we will check before the meeting who has accepted the invite, and we will invite these users to the patient record so that they will be able to review the case details beforehand. So if you have not accepted the invite, it's still possible, of course, to join the meeting. It might be, however, that you have not access to the case details yet to review before the meeting is happening. So this is why it makes sense to accept or decline the meeting invitations. Next, it might also make sense to schedule a test call to check if your audio or video is working. If you have not used the meeting function yet, especially if you wish to present a case during the meeting, you can always contact us to arrange a short test call in the system. If there are any issues to connect the video or audio during the meeting, it is advised to use a personal device or to connect from outside the hospital network, since this might be due to IT security measures of some hospitals, and also contact your IT department to whitelist CPMS 2.0. So these were just some general notes, we will just continue with Anna's journey now. So Anna is prepared for the meeting. She joins the meeting and presents her case. And during the meeting, she receives confirmation from others on the suspected diagnosis. One clinician gives her suggestions for the conversation with the parents. And there are also 2 other case discussions scheduled for this meeting, and she decides to stay for these as well and give input in these. After the meeting, Anna updates her case discussion with the advice that she gathered during the meeting. So the invited experts can also make additional comments in the discussion. So she will just type in her conclusions, and she then proceeds to close the discussion. And for this, she has to enter a conclusion comment, and then she can preview the outcome document, which will still be in draft. We'll show that on the next slide. And after clicking on sign off, the discussion will be closed and the final outcome document can be downloaded. So this is what the draft version of the outcome document looks like. And after signing off, she can download the document from the history of the patient record. She can now integrate the recommendations she received into her patient's care and share the document also with the parents of the patient if appropriate. So the discussion is closed for now, but it can be reopened if needed, just by clicking on open discussion again. So this was Anna's journey in CPMS 2.0. So next I would like to introduce Olaf. He has heard about the case discussion by Anna from a colleague. He is also an endocrinologist at Varna University Hospital, which is also an Endo-ERN member, but he has not used CPMS yet. So he wants to consult on this case as he has experience with CAH, and wants to share his views. So since Olaf has no account in CPMS 2.0 yet, he needs to create one. And for this, there are essentially 3 steps to be done as a one-time action. So first, he needs to create an EU login. He then needs to set up 2-factor authentication, so he registers his phone number and connects his account with the EU login app. And finally, he can sign up for CPMS 2.0, indicating details about his HCP and clinical focus. So he would just go to the CPMS 2.0 website and click on this link to create an EU login. So this will lead to this form on the right where he needs to enter his details and finally click on create an account. And then he will get a confirmation email and will get a link to create a password. So we have included a detailed guide on how to proceed from here on the following slides. But in the interest of time, I would suggest not to go through this right now. But you will receive the PowerPoint after the meeting, and if needed, you can just refer to these slides to go through the process. So let's see if they will be displayed now. Yes. Okay. So we suppose now that Olaf has signed up for CPMS 2.0 and the help desk has received a sign-up request and approved it. So he has an active account now. The help desk, so us, will then reach out to Olaf to invite him to the relevant meetings. So in this case, Olaf has indicated his expertise during the sign-up flow, and the help desk knows which meetings he needs to be invited to. So in this case, Olaf would be invited to the regular meeting of MTG7. After receiving the invite, he accepts the next meeting, and we will be invited to the case of Anna, so he can review the case details before the meeting. He then joins the meeting with the same technical considerations we discussed earlier. And can contribute to the case of Anna. Finally, I would like to talk about a final character, which is Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is an endocrinology fellow and works together with Anna. They're working in the same hospital, and she was asked to be Anna's assistant in CPMS 2.0. So after the meeting, the genetic results came back with the confirmation of CAH, and Anna would like to include this in the patient file for future discussions. So Anna asks Elizabeth to update the case for her. To be able to update this case as Anna's assistant, Elizabeth needs an assistant account. So for this, she also needs an EU login and to set up 2-factor authentication just as Olaf. However, during the sign-up process for CPMS 2.0, she just has to click assistant instead of clinician. The account will then also be approved by an admin. And now Anna now needs to assign Elizabeth as her assistant. So for this, Anna has to go to My Account in the top right corner and then go to the tab Assistant. And then she can search for Elizabeth and select her as her assistant. So Elizabeth is now Anna's assistant. She can now anonymize the findings and upload them to the case. She can edit the case details now, or she can actually perform any actions in the system that Anna can, and it will always be marked as on behalf of Anna. So in this screenshot, you can see that the assistant has to select the clinician on whose behalf they want to act. Yeah, so this was a short introduction to the assistant role, and I think with that I've reached the end of the presentation. So maybe there are any questions, please go ahead. You can just type it in the chat. I think I have not seen any questions in the chat yet, but you can also just unmute yourself.
May I ask a question? Is there a method to anonymize the documents you upload? Automatic method, I mean.
So
Yeah, go.
yeah, Greta, sorry, just to take that question. The DICOM imaging, yes, the same as in the previous system. So any DICOM uploaded zip files can be anonymized by the system, but any other PDFs, Word documents, or imaging files have to be anonymized manually by the responsible clinician.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, this is Pascal from Paris. The CPMS is working for all ERNs. I mean, when you are a member of distinct ERNs, you can register, sign up for distinct ERNs at the same time,
Yeah,
and
yes.
indicate your various skills in the system depending on the ERN?
Yes, that's correct. So during the sign-up flow, you always select your ERN and also indicate your expertise. But you can be part of different ERNs. So with the same EU account, EU login, you can sign up for different ERNs in CPMS. Any other questions? Okay. So as I said, the meeting will be or was recorded, and we will publish it probably on our website, so it's available for everyone. If anyone has questions regarding the system, also while using it, you can always just email us at the help desk email. Yeah, and hopefully we can help you out. So I think if there are no further questions, I think we can close this already, but I would just wait for a couple of minutes and still be, if someone maybe comes up with a question or wants to say something.